otherwise known as the Free From Fairy. Now today I'm going to show you in my kitchen how to make my breakfast pancake recipe. For the full recipe and variations you can go to my website, which is www.freefromfairy.com. So the first thing I do when I come down in the morning is put my pan on a medium heat. Now it takes quite a while for the frying pan to heat up, so that's quite an important step to do first. Take a mug, a small mug or a largish cup, and rather than faffing around with scales and weighing ingredients out, I just weigh everything out into the cup. So it takes a lot less time, and if your kids are desperate for their breakfast, they don't have to wait too long at all. Now of course you could do this step the night before if you're really strapped for time in the morning, and have all of your dried ingredients mixed up ready, and then all you would need to add would be your milk and your eggs. So the first thing I take are my ground almonds, and I fill the cup up to about 3/4 of the way up to the top. Now you could fill right up to the top with almonds if you're on a paleo diet. I add a little bit of flour just to give the kids some carbohydrate. I then top up the mug with a mixture of plain blended flour, gluten-free of course, and I get that on prescription, and that one is the Innovative Solutions brand. So I pop a bit of that in, and then I will top up with white teff flour, which again is on prescription if you're a coeliac, or you can buy it online, and again that's the Innovative Solutions brand. And the reason I use that is because it's very high in protein, so combined with the nuts it just makes sure that the kids are really kept going throughout the morning. So we'll top up with that, and then we just pop that into the bowl. And into that I add a teaspoon of baking powder. You need to check that that's gluten-free because not all baking powder is gluten-free. A rough teaspoon, you don't need to be too accurate. I'm normally half asleep when I'm making it, so definitely no accuracy going in. And then I take some very finely ground flax seeds or linseeds, and I grind those in a coffee grinder, and I keep them in the fridge, in the freezer, just to retain the nutrients within the seeds. And I add 2 teaspoons of those to the mix, and then just give that a good stir. Next up are the eggs and milk, which I'll just get from the fridge. Now I use almond milk. You could use any milk if you wanted to really, dairy milk or whatever your ordinary milk is. So crack 1 medium egg in, and approximately 3/4 of a mug, the same one that you use to weigh out your other ingredients, of milk. Now that will vary depending on what flour you use and whether you're using all almonds or all flour. So I'll show you in a little while just exactly what the mixture should look like when it's ready to be cooked. So I slowly add that in, and give it a whisk as I go, and then give it a really good beat. We've got the batter. It's pretty thick, as you see. It still runs off the spoon, but it's a pretty thick batter. And as many of you will have noticed, I didn't put any sugar in there. You could add sugar if you wanted to. I try and keep sugar to a minimum in this house if possible, and to be honest they don't really need it. The kids like to put a bit of honey on the top, so I'd rather not put the sugar in the actual mixture. So I dollop in a tablespoon of the mixture around the edge of the frying pan, and I get about 5 in a pan this size, so there's no arguing about who's going to have the first one. And with my pan, it's a pretty good non-stick pan. I don't need to use any oil or anything to grease it with, and that will stay, they will come off very easily themselves. If your frying pan isn't quite such a good non-stick pan, just add a tiny bit of coconut oil or margarine just to grease the bottom, and once the first ones have cooked you should find that they'll flip over quite easily. So we leave them for about a minute to a minute and a half. You'll notice little bubbles appearing on the surface of the pancakes as they cook, and a good indication that the bottom is ready and they're ready to be flipped over is that you've got lots of bubbles appearing on the top of the pancakes, and they go a little bit more dull, so they look like they're starting to cook on this side as well. They don't look quite so raw. When they're ready, they will come off the bottom of the pan really easily, so it's a good indication as to whether they're done or not. You can see they're a nice golden colour. Leave them for another minute or so on the other side, and you'll be pretty much ready to serve.